That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, Peter.
Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. We are going to be breaking down Secret Invasion Episode 1. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me last time we did a TV show was Casey McGeorge, and he's back. How are you today, Casey?
How's it going, everybody? Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. And, you know, it hasn't just been a while since we podcast. It's been a while since Marvel's released a Disney Plus series. So, yeah, I mean, I think originally this show was rumored to have come out in March and got pushed for some reason all the way to June. Or that was the rumor. And I thought Loki was rumored to be in the summer.
Or fall or something? Or...
Of last, yeah, that was the first rumor, and then now it's October for Loki. So, I mean, who knows what the actual plan was? But because I've had you booked for this for a long time.
Yeah, and I forgot it was coming out, and then I also got it confused with Secret Invasion.
Secret Wars. You mean? Yeah, because this is Secret Invasion.
Yeah, so I saw something, and I think that was scheduled for like next year or 2025.
Yeah,
I was
I really wanted
me out ahead of time.
3 years out. Yeah, but it's good to have you back. It's good to be talking some Marvel. No, I do the my DC podcast on this feed as well, and I've been having I found a co-host for my DC podcast, and if you follow the Marvel feed, you probably see there's a lot of episodes that are not Marvel. It's because I also share them on this feed, but now that I had a co-host, it was like I was pumping these things out weekly. While this one, we kind of wait more for like a show or a movie to come out to really talk about stuff. So we're back. I know it took us a bit from the premiere to actually record this, but I was on vacation at a bad time. I was actually planning to watch it Wednesday, but we left early Thursday morning, and I was thinking, I could watch it on the drive down. I could watch it at the hotel room, but no, I just waited till I was home yesterday and watched it on my big screen TV, and
the way it's meant to be seen.
The way it's meant to be seen, not on a 10-inch phone. So
watch it on the TV, get the good surround sound going, and experience it.
Exactly, and I will say, just from my first, I tried to dodge spoilers. All I knew was something happened with Maria Hill. That's all I knew. And I was expecting her to be a Skrull, is kind of what I was expecting.
So I feel like I said, I forgot the show was coming out. I saw that like IGN, which I usually go to for a lot of reviews, just because different places you get, like, once you get in sync with what people who review something, you kind of stick with them. So that's what I did. They reviewed the first 2 episodes together or something. You know, obviously they get pre-screenings and stuff.
Yeah, they had a premiere too in a theater where they had a lot of people see these for the first time, and it was both back to back.
Yeah, so I think they gave it like a 7 out of 10 or something. I just scrolled through real quick just because I wanted to see just the grade. Like, I didn't want to see anything about what was going on. You know, anybody who has listened to us before have probably heard me say way too many times I know nothing about the comics. So I didn't want to see anything of like, oh, well, in the comics this happens, or I was like, no, I want to go into this completely fresh Have no idea of anything. So I got the score. Since it has been a while since something from Marvel has come out, my Twitter feed, the algorithm on my Twitter feed has changed a little bit, just because there just hasn't been enough Marvel content on there really to, fill it up. So the only thing I saw was there was something major that happened at the end of episode 1. Like, I didn't even get a who or what. I just got, after that major incident at the end of episode 1, we're all waiting to see what happens next week. And I was like, okay, that sounds intriguing. Let's see what's there.
Yeah, I just thought that was going to be the reveal, that she was a Skrull. So the whole time I'm watching it, like, when would she be doing this if she's a Skrull though? Like, I was like suspicious of her the whole time then, and then when it actually happened where she got shot, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's what everybody was talking about. And I guess it wasn't clicking for me because I think Hollywood Reporter said she's supposed to appear in the Marvels. But which is coming out in November, but some people are saying that's wrong now, that she's not going to appear in that. But I don't know. Did she fully die? We don't really know, I guess.
I believe possibly, although we have to caveat it with this. It's Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
They can bring anyone and anyone back for any reason by any means. They brought Agent Coulson back for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Like, he got killed. He was dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they brought him back for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do believe she's dead. The amount of blood she lost, the fact that her eyes were never closed, and Fury kind of ran off and she was just left there by herself. To me, that makes me believe that she's no longer alive. Plus, at the end of the episode, there was I thought she was going to be in the entire series. Like, I didn't really look it up. I didn't know, because, I mean, she's always been Fury's right-hand person. She's always been right there with Fury, with everything that he's done pretty much, or, interlocked with him in some way. So I figured she was going to go along for this ride with the Skrulls and figure out what was going on. So I was down for that. And then I saw at the end it said special guest star, and I was like, oh, she might just be on for this episode and that's it.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with credits because I don't know how they work. So she's listed as special guest star, and I'm like, okay, if this is a one and done for her, that makes sense. But I'm also going through the Arrowverse right now, which is, Arrow, The Flash, all those shows. I'm watching Legends of Tomorrow, and John Constantine is part of the team, but he is always credited as special guest star, and it drives me nuts because I'm like, I guess like it's just probably something with the contract or whatever. But it's weird.
Is the guy who plays Constantine on another show, so he can't really necessarily get billing as an actual lead on the show? Because I know some of those contracts with their things are like, you can only be on one show or so many shows, and that may have changed with streaming, but I don't know, like, so that could be part of it.
He was not on in season 3 he was recurring, but it still said special guest star. And in seasons 4 through 6, he was a main role, but it still said special guest star. 2017, when he first joined the show, he was part of another show, but that show only lasted 1 year. So yeah, I guess I'm not really sure. But that's a thought. That's an interesting thought. I mean, I thought the same thing though, that she was going to be a main part of this thing, and I was like, this is perfect. We're going to get Martin Freeman. I don't know if he's going to show up again. I guess will he show up again? Because I guess it's in like alluded, right, that they have all of these people that they change into kind of like locked up somewhere, right, in stasis. that they can still read their memories and they can, do all this stuff. But so I guess maybe we'll see Martin Freeman again when they free him.
Here's a question I got for you. I may have missed this somewhere. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I know we found out in Spider-Man that Fury was in space.
Yes. Yep.
When did he go to space? Do we know when, or like was that ever said? And B, what was he actually doing up there?
So I think it's just alluded that he went not long after Endgame, because Far From Home takes place
Like right at not
5
too
months
long
later. It's the summer vacation after they went back to school,
and
or
then
whatever.
they still got murals up for Tony Stark and
Yeah.
everything, so it's still kind of fresh.
So I think it was probably around then that he was up there. Now, he said he's working at Saber. Saber is another division like S.H.I.E.L.D., but they're more focused on space and like the defense of planet Earth from space type of thing. So he was probably... the way you made it sound like when they're talking about what he's doing up there is kind of like overseeing the building of this space station and the rest of Saber. It looks like this is a question I had before we saw this show. So I did a podcast that was a reaction to the trailer of this and a reaction of the trailer to The Marvels, which also stars Nick Fury with Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel. And there it shows in the trailer that he's on the Saber station, and he's got his eye patch, he's got a more trimmed beard, and he's doing something on the Saber station there. So my question was always, what order is this happening in, right? Like, is Secret Invasion happening first, and then we see Captain Marvel, in the Marvels with Nick Fury?
Yeah.
So that's what I don't know.
Disney or Marvel has been known to throw stuff out of order, obviously.
And I think at one point, the Marvels was supposed to come out before this did. So, again, it's all kind of fluid.
And the show does say present day. Fury doesn't have his eye patch on, or is not using that anymore.
My thought is this is before the Marvels, and he'll, like, at the end, go back to wearing the eye patch and trim his beard again and kind of get out of the rut that everyone seems to think he's in, is kind of my thought.
Okay, because like I said, I remember, obviously he was in space, but I was like, I don't remember how he went there. Now, granted, I haven't watched everything, so that's why I was thinking maybe there was something I missed in one of the shows or the movies.
No, he hasn't been in anything since Far From Home. And
it's just that's, and I heard someone else say this, and I can't remember who. That was one of the things that I've heard someone else say, and a lot of people are talking about, is at least before Disney Plus, when it was just the movies, it's pretty easy to follow with. Like, you get a movie, they show a teaser for the next movie at the end credits, right? Maybe they put some stuff out on YouTube or something, like they put out like a couple little shorts or something like they did with Thor for, in between movies or something, so you can kind of keep up with the characters or whatever. But the stories are easy to follow along because they kind of lead one to another. They have time jumps, like Captain Marvel went back to the 80s, but still. But now, in order to get the whole story, you've got to watch, okay, we had WandaVision and we got a Loki, and that led into the next Doctor Strange. And then you've got, what's the little girl there? I can't remember her name. That's in the Marvels.
Oh, Miss Marvel, yeah.
Miss Marvel. So you've got Miss Marvel. I haven't watched any of that. I know who Monica Rambeau is just because I've watched, WandaVision. But take someone who doesn't have Disney Plus or not watching. They don't know who Miss Marvel is. They don't know who WandaVision or Monica Rambeau is. Now they're looking at these shows like, wait a minute, who are these people? What's going on? Like, what have I missed? and that might be starting to turn some people off with some things. Like, it might be too much content right now for them to.
That's why they started, I think, spacing these out a bit more. Some of the feedback they were getting, I will say, I think it is a little overstated in the sense of most of these projects you can watch without seeing the other projects. They'll usually explain something into the movie or the show that kind of catches you up on some sort of status, or just like I'm assuming when the Marvels comes out, they're not just they're going to introduce Kamala Khan without totally rehashing the show, but also enough for people that they know more people are seeing the movie than are seeing the show. So there will be, I think, some amount of exposition on who she is, why you should care about her, and that. Same thing with Monica Rambeau. They'll have to explain that she's the little girl from the first Captain Marvel. And, I think that's enough, hopefully, to make people, I guess, get accustomed to it. The way I started really thinking about this, as we get more TV shows, more movies and stuff like that, it really is more like the comics, which I know you're not as familiar with, Casey, but in the way I mean, there's usually a big event or a tie-in. Secret Invasion was one of those. And you can either read all the individual issues leading up to it, or you can just read the 6-issue, 12-issue, mini arc and be done with it. Like Civil War in the comics is a huge event. It has probably close to 100 issues if you want to read the full thing. But if you just want to read the main Civil War arc, it's like 6 issues. So you can read so my point being, the TV shows are like the little stuff. If you're not a diehard, if you don't want to watch the TV show, if it doesn't interest you, when that character shows up in a movie, I think that they will introduce them correctly to you and say, here you are. Here's the person. Speaking of this Secret Invasion comic, this was written by Brian Michael Bendis in 2008 to 2009. I read the first 4 or 5 issues of this thing out of 6. I did not care for this at all. Even though Brian Michael Bendis is one of my favorite writers, it is so convoluted in the comic, and it's actually, all Skrulls are bad in the comics. So in this show, they've already made it a little better in Captain Marvel when they had Talos and his wife be good Skrulls, and that is what we're starting to see in this episode, that there are some good Skrulls, there are going to be some bad Skrulls, and it makes it a lot more
somewhere murky in the middle and playing both sides, it looks like. And that's the problem with Skrulls, is you can't tell.
Yeah, in the comics, it was like they revealed that some of our heroes that we've been reading for years were Skrulls, and at some point replaced in the timeline. So it's revealed like Spider-Man and Iron Man, whoever it is. I can't remember who was Skrulls and who wasn't, but it's revealed that they actually captured the real ones and hid them away, and here are these replacement ones, and then you have them fighting themselves at times. It's hard to keep track of in the comic compared to what I like about the show is making it this more Winter Soldier approach. It's more grounded. It doesn't feature the heroes. It's going to be more espionage-like. I think that fits Skrulls better than, whatever the hell the comic was doing.
Is Rhodey like the Secretary of Defense now or something?
I forget what he is. I think the last Falcon and Winter Soldier
was talking to the president there.
Yeah,
in the very beginning. Obviously, someone who was an Avenger is probably gonna have a close ties to the Secretary of Defense and the president, things like that. You're not just gonna let him wander around. You want to take advantage of his talent and his mind and everything he's been through. But I was wondering, like, wait, is he like the Secretary of Defense or something now? And that might not be a bad choice.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up to see if we know what he is. He was. Uh, it doesn't really say, I guess, on here. I'm looking on Wikipedia. But he is in some part of the government thing. We last saw him in, Falcon and the Winter Soldier at the Smithsonian when he's donating Rogers. Sam is donating Steve's shield to the museum, and the two talk to each other a bit. And it seemed like he was some part of the government as well, not just he might just be a military advisor or something. But I would not be shocked if he at some point is a Skrull in this series. I do think that they'll, at some point I think we're going to get some twists that the main people we are following, some of these have been replaced at some point. Probably not since we've seen them. Like for Rhodey, it would probably be some time after that scene in Falcon the Winter Soldier. I don't think they'll ever go back and be like, he was a Skrull since, he replaced Terrence Howard.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like since Iron Man 2, whatever time that happened. That's why he appeared different. They didn't have their Skrull technology just right. They fixed it after that.
Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark, they did not care that he looked any different.
But so that's the one thing before we get into the story. After watching this, that's the one thing I like so far. Like you said, there seems to be a lot of espionage, so this is kind of more of like a James Bond, Jason Bourne type spy thriller, right? We have no clue who to trust. Because as I'm watching this, and as I watched the first episode, there were plenty of times I was like, oh, that person's a Skrull. Wait, no, I don't think they are. Oh, right. Wait, no, I think that they might be. As we said earlier, when Agent Hill was shot, like that kind of shocked me, and then I was like, oh, that's why. Like, and I was just like,
and we see when they get shot, they'll turn back to a Skrull, and people were waiting for Maria to turn green again, but they just kind of fade to black while they're.
And they did leave it on her for quite a bit, so
yeah.
If it was a quick shot, I think people would be able to say like, oh, well, maybe she's a Skrull. That was a Skrull, Maria Hill. Like if they just showed her and it was a real quick and then cut to black, but they moved the camera up, they got the wide angle with it, like they left it on there for probably about a good 15, 20, 30 seconds. So
yeah, and I guess the surprise again, like we said, Martin Freeman's character, Everett Ross. That whole opening scene before the credits was so intense. I mean, I didn't know who was supposed to be the Skrull at that point until you see him like totally miss the jump and hit the pavement.
I think I went back and forth on Martin Freeman like 3 times. Like,
yes,
I'm
he's like, back. Oh, I love him.
Wait
he's
a minute,
in
I don't
Black
trust
Panther.
This dude. I don't trust this dude. Something's fishy with him. I think he's a Skrull. No. I think he's good. No. Wait a minute. I think, and finally I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch and enjoy it.
How do you think the guy who's telling him the plan, telling him he solved this, and he calls Everett Ross there, and they're talking, and he's like, "You're the only guy I trust," and then not long after that, he tackles him. Knowing he's trying to kill him, he knows he can't trust him at that point. What do you think gave it away? Was he always having his suspicions on Ross, or is there something you think didn't add up here that he ended up knowing he was the Skrull?
Because wasn't he trying to talk him out of going public with the information? Now, granted, with the kind of work that Ross does, he probably still would have tried to talk him out of going public with that information, but he might have tried to get him to funnel the information a different way. I think maybe just because he legitimately was trying to talk him out of it, that might have set him off. Or the way he was looking at whatever the little iPad or whatever it was, but when he started looking at that and the information on there, that kind of But then I also like that guy got over because he was talking with Agent Hill, Ross, the Skrull Ross was at least, because he was trying to get an
Yes.
extraction at
Yeah.
some point. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, he had to have been replaced after Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So if people haven't seen that movie, he is Everett Ross is in it. I don't think he was a Skrull in that movie. So sometime after that is probably when they captured him. We see the Skrulls throughout this movie bringing people in and hooking them up to that stuff. So he's probably a relatively recent capture, enough for people like Maria to not catch on that something was wrong. And yeah, he's probably still locked up somewhere that will get to him. But man, I just kind of laughed a bit when he missed the jump and hit the other building and then hit the pavement. I was like, oh, he's definitely the Skrull then, because there's no way they just kill off Everett Ross like that.
And Wern, I like the setting, although it's gotta admit the timing of when this came out is ludicrous.
Right off the heels of a Russian coup.
Yeah, it's set in present, and that's what I was going back to with when you brought up the Marvels. At least they gave a title card of present day in Russia and in Moscow on this one. So maybe, like you were saying, maybe the Marvels is before this or after this. We don't know, but at least we know this is currently set right now, and it's very eerie. It's very eerie that it was set right now, because I think the couple days before is when there were lines of tanks going up to Moscow, and I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's it's always tense. With what's going on over there currently. And while they'll say present day, and they probably do mean present day, like the MCU, if you technically do the math, is in like 2025. But nobody really, the average fan is not gonna know about that or care about that. And that's just from, like, I guess nobody really cares about that kind of stuff. The ultra fans do. I see always, like, Wikipedia has all this stuff tried to lay it out by what year everything is currently taking place in, but if you show present day on the screen, it's present day.
Oh, there's even so and I think the people who listen might know, I did my Infinity
Oh yeah.
Watch along last year. I might do another one this year, but I was looking online. There's a way, because the way I watched it from the box set is from like sequential order of when everything was released. So Iron Man 1, and I think the Hulk was next, and then like Iron Man 2, blah blah blah, goes on like that. And obviously they jump around with the timelines in there, but there's a way, and people have done it, to watch those in like sequential order. So you'd have to start with like Captain America, and then go along there. But then you're jumping back and forth in such a way, and it's like,
I do it on my rewatches. Like when we were doing rewatches to build up to like Endgame, right? I was watching. I start Captain America, then I go to Captain Marvel, and then I'd go to Iron Man 2. I usually skip the Incredible Hulk, and then.
But that's back on Disney Plus now.
It is, yes. It's on Disney Plus. They almost have everything now. They also signed a deal with Sony, so Sony is having Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus now. So once like No Way Home and Far From Home hit Disney Plus, I think we'll have everything. Because the only other thing was Incredible Hulk, and that was because Universal had distribution rights to that movie for 15 years, and we've hit the 15-year point. So now it is eligible to go on Disney Plus. So some fun behind the scenes stuff, I guess, there. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy how we even got Deadpool 1 and 2 on there. and they're not technically MCU, but we're getting Deadpool 3 in the MCU. So there you go. By the way, Deadpool 3 did get moved up. I have like the change of dates that are coming on a lot of these projects. Deadpool 3 is now slated for May 3rd, 2024. It was supposed to be the fall, but Captain America Brave New World, which got a new title.
New World Order.
Yeah, it was New World Order. Now it's Brave New World. And it was originally set for that May 3rd date. It got pushed to August 26th of 2024. Thunderbolts, which had a July date, I think, or maybe the August date, got pushed to December 20th of 2024, and Blade got pushed to February 14th, 2025, and Fantastic Four, I believe, got moved to May 2nd, 2025. The Avengers Kang Dynasty is May 1st, 2026, and Secret Wars is May 7th, 2027. Those may change. Again, we were talking offline. There's a lot of stuff up in the air with the Writers Guild strike, a potential Screen Actors Guild strike. Sounds like the Directors Guild made their deal, so there's no strike for them. But it's just a lot of stuff going on right now.
And they're in production right now for Deadpool 3, correct?
Yeah, they're filming, and Ryan Reynolds cannot improvise because that would be considered writing, and he is a screen actor. He's a Writers Guild.
Yes, plus any changes that they do to the script have to come from like the director. It's not coming from actual writers, because I know that happened before with a lot of things where I think they said one of the James Bond movies, that was one of the biggest things that ruined it, was it was the middle of a writer's strike. They went to go make changes, and instead of actual writers making those changes, and then like Daniel Craig ended up having to like do some stuff, and the director and some other people, and they said that's kind of what brought one of those Bond movies down, was you could just tell like it didn't make sense because there weren't actual writing people behind what they did. But the other aspect is cutting production off is going to cost so much money.
Yeah. It's
one of those, I'm a union guy myself, so I stand with the writers, but this has potential to, and not their fault, not blaming them, but this has potential to cause a whole string of issues not issues, but string of things that will change from here to there.
Yeah, and like I said before, I didn't think that would be a problem. I thought they would try to avoid this after they just got everything going back after COVID, which put a strain on the business as well. But you can never, account for greed, I guess, in some of this stuff for the corporations who don't want to pay residuals or more residuals.
Or have the right kind of writers in their room.
Right, exactly. So we'll see how all of that stuff shakes out as we go. Back to Secret Invasion. The CIA agent that got killed was Prescott. He was theorizing that they're shape-shifting Skrull rebels who are trying to incite war between Russia and the United States. Maybe they also affected the 2016 election.
Sure,
I wonder. I'm just kidding. It did say that in the show, but
anything is possible at this point.
I don't think in the MCU we canonically had Trump as president because they had a few other presidents. So
they might have had their version of what was Donald Trump, like their wacky version.
Tony Stark.
Somebody.
So Maria Hill arrives to assist Ross, but she discovers that he is a Skrull in disguise, and we find out that the person that was chasing Ross the whole time was actually Talos in disguise, and he's now showing more of like a human form that looks kind of like that looks exactly like his actor Ben Mendelsohn. I kind of like the way that they did that. And
that's the first time they showed a human, like a human form that he chose, I guess, instead of somebody that he copied, right? Because I remember
Yeah.
in Captain Marvel, they obviously showed a scroll form, but
Well, I think in Captain Marvel, I have to double check this now. I think the guy that he originally copied when they were breaking into the Shield facility was Ben Mendelsohn. So I think he may have just reverted to that. I have to double check that now. Like, I just remember in Captain Marvel, they have this whole scene of them going into the Shield facility, and then in this like library space or like where all these files are. And I think Ben Mendelsohn was playing.
one of the guys in there.
Yes. I can't see a character name though. While I quickly look at. Oh, okay. Fury's boss. Yes, Fury's boss is named Keller. So that's what he looks like. That's what he's choosing to revert to. So he did copy him. Still, it's just look, for the sake of budget, right? You can't always have them in these makeup of the scroll look. And when you have Ben Mendelsohn, you want Ben Mendelsohn to be playing like himself as well. But yeah, so he is that's just the form he defaults to, I guess, because that's the one Fury and a lot of people know him as. And they actually call Fury down, and we get Fury coming down to planet Earth again from Saber. We get the opening credits, which, Casey, there's been some controversy with this.
Yeah, so apparently Disney used AI to make the opening credits. I saw this. I saw there was some discussion on this before I watched it. I didn't want to see what anybody was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw controversy. Disney uses AI. Blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Not a fan. Now, I don't know why Disney did it. Maybe they wanted to try it out. Maybe they wanted to give a break because there have been reports of the people who do a lot of their special and visual effects and various things not being treated correctly and overworked. So maybe they were trying to give them a break or trying to stick it to them. I don't know. But the opening credits from that first episode just don't seem to fit the tone of what's going on to me. And it looks like AI that like last year and the year before when it first started coming out where people
The Dolly.
were just
It looks like the
wacky
Dolly
images of stuff. And it was just, I don't know. If Disney made another set of opening credits, I hope they show them to us.
So I'll just give you. Okay, so it wasn't fully Disney, and what I mean by that is they did hire a studio. This is called Method Studios, and they used generative artificial intelligence, which, as Wikipedia describes, prompted significant backlash online. This is like the main thing I heard about, other than the Maria Hill thing, when I was trying to avoid stuff about the show. Now, Method Studios actually had to issue a whole statement to respond to this, saying that none of their artists had been replaced with artificial intelligence for the sequence, and that the technology, both existing and custom built for this series, was just one tool that their team used to achieve the final look. The statement elaborated that many elements in the sequence were created using traditional tools and techniques, and the artificial intelligence technology was used to add an otherworldly and alien look. Which I do think matches the I think it does match the tone of the show with, like, you don't know what you can trust, blah, blah, blah. But I will say this opening sequence is ugly. It is very ugly. I'm not a fan of this. I think some people went a little overboard with the reaction to it. Because, again, it's not like Marvel just said, type in alien stuff and put it up there. They did have to hire real artists that did the actual. There are moving things in these credits that do move, and that stuff is not done by the AI, I would assume. I think those are when it's transitioning, it's probably an artist helping it. But I think it just looks ugly.
Just saying, when the machines take over, hopefully it's long after I'm dead.
They'll favor me because I just said that I have nothing against them. It's ugly though.
I got nothing to offer, so hopefully it's like I said, it's after I'm dead.
But yeah, so I guess the one thing, I think it is funny that was like the biggest thing people were talking about this show, because I like barely saw the Maria Hill stuff. This is what I mostly saw. Opening credit complaints. And I did watch them, and I was like, okay, let's see what they look like. And because I'd seen screenshots of them, I do think they're ugly, like I said. I get what they were going for, but I do think AI can be used correctly for fun things. I just watched Casey. I just watched on TikTok. Somebody took AI and made Elvis sing "Baby Got Back" to the theme of "Teddy Bear" by Elvis Presley. It was hysterical. Now, there are repercussions to this, right? There are things that there were artists coming out saying, like, somebody pretty much made a whole song that they tried to pass off as an artist, that the artist has to come out and be like, that's not something I did. And
I think the Grammys just did a thing where they said it like anything that goes up for like album or record of the year has to be done by human composed. Like it has to be done by humans, not by AI. So because I know there have been photography competitions that have been quote unquote won by AI that I don't know if they've changed it or gone back, but so that there are some things that have to be looked at and thought about when it comes to these things.
Yeah, and I have no idea how this works. I do know that like when you do like the picture things, I know Bing has something you can type in. There's the Dolly site that you can type in stuff and it'll show you pictures of stuff. That does take, it's not just generating a picture. It does take those photos from somewhere. Which is part of the stuff of why this is so controversial. I don't know how the Elvis thing works. I don't know how it sounded like Elvis singing "Baby Got Back," but I enjoyed it. I think using it in the right ways is the ways that this thing is going to go, but we're going to see a lot of ways that it shouldn't be used continue to creep up over the next few years here.
So here's a question. You are Nick Fury, a large black man in Russia. How do you not stand out?
He does, right? Didn't they say that?
Yeah, they brought it up in there, and I just thought of in general, like, some countries do have populations of darker skinned people, right? And maybe like England, you can kind of, if this were set in London, someplace in Great Britain, I think Nick Fury's would be known, but he might be able to just kind of blend in as just some other random black dude in the place. I don't know the numbers, but I can't imagine there's a very large black Russian population.
No, there's not. In fact, they're usually pretty racist. From what I like, just following soccer, there's a lot of black players that go over there and get tons of racial abuse. From what I'm reading online, I just did a search. It looks like
I just got something too. There's approximately 30,000 in 2013.
An estimation of 0.03% of the Russian population. So there you go. Yeah,
I'm seeing something that says 0.03% of the Russian population.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, we must have saw the same article. It's a tiny percent. So yeah,
Nick
he's
Fury
standing
walking
out.
around is gonna.
And he was limping. Is it just like one of those like when you get out of a car on a car ride limp? Because he didn't seem to be limping much at the end of the show. Is it like lack of stretching the legs on the space station? What do you think?
Well, I mean, so it's not like he's in a car, right? Like he does have plenty of room on a spaceship.
Yeah.
But Nick Fury is old. He probably has a trick knee from everything else that he's been involved in, right? I mean, the man hasn't led an easy life from what we've seen since he was from Captain Marvel.
74. If he's the same age as Sam Jackson, he is 74 years old now.
So I mean, plus we don't know what happens when you get beamed or transported down. Like, is that a smooth ride? Like, what happens there?
I don't know. I need some of this technology, though. I mean, I like the iPad thing they were using. I really like Fury's camera he put in the UK Prime Minister's place, Olivia Colman's place, when he was Sonia Fallsworth.
That's a fantastic little device there.
I like the visual look of it, too. How it doesn't show, like, the full picture. It's, like, edges of, like, people, and I don't know. It looked really cool.
A mini hologram type thing.
Yes. But yeah, so he was listening to Fallsworth and the UK Prime Minister, and then we learn at some point when we see Emilia Clarke's character that she is the daughter of Talos, who was also in Captain Marvel, the little girl alien, and she has kind of become, her name's Gaia, who has become part of the rebels, but not fully. It sounds like I don't really know how deep she's in yet, right? She does tell the one guy that's coming in when she has him like show her his full self. She says that you guys can't really leave here unless you're part of like the military.
Yeah,
who goes out there
going out on missions or something.
And you can be your true self here, but I got to keep my human shell, right? That's kind of what it's alluded to. And she does go get the bombs that they're planning to show, but she does also kind of reconnect with her dad. Her dad tells her that her mom has died, I guess at some point between Far From Home, when we last saw her, and here. And she does give Talos a heads up about what is planned at the square on Unity Day here. And This is where the show goes.
Do you think she gave the plan that she knew of, that she thought was accurate to Talos? Or do you think she gave Talos a plan that she knew was not the actual plan in order to set everything off?
I don't know. I think she was being honest. That's what I think.
Because we go, they track her to Red Square, wherever they're at in Unity Day. She's got 2 backpacks with, they assume, are the 2 bombs. She's got them marked with ultraviolet
infrared
with infrared marks on them so they can follow. They don't see the handoff because there's a crowd around her. So the 2 backpacks go in different places, and then when they catch up to the 2 backpacks, they're empty. So, did she know her backpacks were empty? Were the backpacks emptied before they caught up with them, or at some point were they like you were saying, was she being honest, or was she deceiving everybody just in order to have this plan go forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even actually think of that. I took it so much at face value that maybe I shouldn't on a show called Secret Invasion, where we don't know if the faces they're wearing are actually accurate or not. But yeah, I guess I'm not really sure on that then. I'm curious to see where they go from here, because I do want her to be on the right side. And what I mean by that is it's going to put a weird spin on things when I rewatch Captain Marvel if she turns it out to be this big villain and she's this little girl who, is connecting with Monica Rambeau. And instead, she becomes like this evil person in Secret Invasion, like without us seeing any of that character development on screen. So that's kind of why I hope she's going to be on the good side, because it'll just be a weird footnote when I'm watching Captain Marvel. If not,
Well, I mean, in all fairness, a lot of time has passed from then. So Captain Marvel takes
30
place
years.
what, in the 80s, right?
90s.
90s. Okay, so it takes place in the 90s. She was a little girl then. She's an adult woman, or she's a grown. I don't know.
She looks like an adult woman. Yeah, because we learned from what at one point Fury and Talos have a nice back and forth where what Talos is like 130 something years old, something like that.
To us, she appears as an adult woman, although in the pint-sized version of Emilia Clarke, but she's still an adult. I mean, think about where you were when you were like 9 to where you are now, right? You can change a whole lot, and then you never know what's happened between here and there. Now, granted, that might mean at some point we need the story, but I could see her falling in with the wrong crowd, maybe as a teenager or something, believing the wrong things. Because, like I said, she didn't know her mom had passed away. She did not know until she was told by Talos that her mom was killed by the same people she was working for. Now, does she believe that? I don't know. But, so, I mean, think of all the people we hear about who join cults and various other things, and they kind of get brainwashed, and they're all for it, and then later on they realize, oh, I was completely on the wrong side.
Yeah. No, I think if she does end up being bad, I want to see that character growth flashback somehow to kind of point us to how she got here, because otherwise it feels kind of. I think the main guy, what's his name? I'm trying to think. The bad guy, his name is Gravik. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason I thought that might be like Sam Jackson's son or something. Not his actual son, but like not Sam Jackson, Nick Fury's son. Like, I don't know, because they made him like another black guy or whatever. And I know that sounds weird. I get it. But one, there's not many in Russia. And
Yeah.
him and Nick Fury kind of had a stare off. So I guess to me, they've had some interaction before. Like, they've at least met, interacted, clashed something before, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Gravik was. I can't remember if he was in Captain Marvel or not, but he was. If so, he was not played by Kingsley Ben-Adir, who is playing him now. But this is. I think he's setting it up to where he was giving Emilia Clarke's character quite the look, I think, when she was getting ready to go out to do this bomb task. So I do think that maybe he's aware of maybe that she would be one to maybe hint at this. So he had a backup plan
Yeah.
to kind of foil her. It's going to make it look like she set him up, but I think she will.
He didn't trust her, so he went with his own plan.
Yes. Yep. And then he kind of digs the dagger in a little bit by killing Maria Hill as Nick Fury as
Look,
well.
I'm not going to lie. When that happened, I was sitting in my apartment by myself. I verbally yelled out, holy, like, because like you're watching it and you see Nick Fury shoot Maria Hill. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? Then he changes and I'm like, oh, you rat bastard.
Yeah, and he did exactly enough to kill her. Like, he knew what he was doing. He just shouts out Hill, which he knows. Again, so there's some familiarity there. I think we're going to get that backstory on what made Gravik kind of pull away a bit. We kind of hear in the show that Fury was doing his best for the Skrulls for a while, but kind of got pulled away, and they never really found the home that they wanted. But Gravik's looking at this planet as, hey, this can be the home we've wanted if we can take out these humans.
Here's something to think about too. There's a ton of commotion there, right? Bombs went off, people are running, gunshots. And at some point, people are going to get interviewed and they're going to try and piece together everything. Most people are going to describe seeing what they believe to be Nick Fury shoot Maria Hill. Even if they see afterwards that it's not Fury,
yeah,
there's going to be more than enough, or there's just going to be enough confusion where it's going to look like Nick Fury shot his partner and another American.
That's true. I was kind of thinking of that too. Like, was there any TV footage that's going to be shown about this or anything like that? Because that could put him in a tough spot.
And remember, go back to the beginning where I guess we were in the White House with Rhodes and the president. They were kind of curious as to why he came back down. They weren't really sure about it. They were going to try and get a hold of him, figure it out. So now, especially if that footage gets back or that the images and the news gets back, that what appears to be Nick Fury shot Agent Hill. Like, now our own government might be in a situation of like, they don't trust them. They don't know what's going on. It opens up the whole espionage and double and triple turns thing to a whole new level.
Yeah, I'm trying to find... okay, yes. Dermot Mulroney is the actor that plays Ritson, the President of the United States in this. He's in a lot of stuff. I know I've seen him before, but he was in... What do I know him from? I think he was in some episodes of Friends or something.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yes, Gavin Mitchell. Yes, he was in season 9, 3 episodes. He was okay. Yes, I was just reading. He's also in Arrested Development, season 5, I guess. He was Dusty Radler, the beach guy, guy that Lucille liked. Anyway,
I remember him from a Saturday Night Live skit of Dylan McDermott or Dermot Mulroney.
Dermot Mulroney, yes. Yes, he played... he was in SNL in 2012. There you go. Jamie Foxx and Neo were in that episode. But yeah, so he's been around. He's president. I said that's an increase. You know, he's going upwards here. I think this is the first time we've seen the president since
Iron Man 2 or 3.
Since Iron Man 3 was the last president. Yeah. It is funny how they never show the president in any of these big situations. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the main plot. Gravik killed Hill dressed as Fury. We'll see the fallout of that, I guess. But any big speculation or theories you have as we get ready for the second episode, which premieres Wednesday?
I will be completely honest. I can't even speculate because I don't know who to trust. At any point on screen, I don't know who is or isn't a Skrull. I don't know who's playing what sides or not. This is how an espionage and a spy thriller is kind of meant to be, where you're just going along for the ride and you might have thoughts or ideas on something, but then something is going to completely change it and you never know. And that's where I'm at after one episode. How many episodes we got of this?
6, so we got 5 left. And I think they're all going to be around 55 minutes. I know episode 2 was around that as well, from what people that saw it said. So
yeah,
at least they'll be kind of long.
Well, I think they're finding the sweet spot is probably around an hour, 45 minutes to an hour long. Excuse me. Yeah, I can deal with that.
Yeah. look, I'm really excited about this show. I thought the first episode was really good. I was kind of shocked. I think this has the lowest ratings on any of the TV shows when it comes to critics, which kind of shocked me a bit because I think this is kind of what, like I said, they're kind of going back to the well that Winter Soldier was, and that's a lot of people's favorite MCU film because of the espionage, because of this type of stuff. Maybe it's just the first two episodes were a little slow for people or something, but that's all they've seen so far. So I guess we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm really excited to see all the twists and turns this show is probably going to give us. Okay,
I'm definitely pretty pumped for this. The first episode has me hooked. So now I know every Wednesday, I'm gonna come home at whatever time I get done finishing my route and make it home. And when I sit down to grab something to eat, I'm gonna be watching the next episode of Secret Invasion for the next 5 weeks. So, good job, Marvel and Disney Plus.
Yeah, so we are very excited to have you all along with us as we continue through Secret Invasion for the rest of the summer. And glad to have you back, Casey. Do you want to share any socials where people can find you?
I'm pretty boring. I don't really do a lot. I mostly lurk, but McGeorge36, MC George 36, pretty much on anything you'll be able to find me. I use the same name across most just because it's easy and I'm lazy.
I wish I could do that for this podcast, but these handles are all over the place for this one. I couldn't find any consistent ones. I'm just searching for them all right now. Okay. Email us, marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Twitter, TO Infinity Saga. Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. And you can also follow me or listen to our Elseworlds podcast, which covers DC Comics, DC movies, all that stuff. If you're already listening on the podcast feed, those episodes are on this feed, or you can just go to the separate feed as well. But thank you all for watching or listening. We will catch you next time talking Secret Invasion Episode 2.